There's a fine line between criticizing something you love because you want to see it improve and just bashing it on the internet for those rage bait clicks, and I think with the new season of Futurama, we have found that line. Welcome back to Words of Paradise. I'm your host, Leon Idol, and yes, Futurama star John DiMaggio responds to fans unhappy with recent seasons. Just zip it. Now, I am the first one to run defense for the fans, saying, look, the fans are the paying customers. The fans are the ones telling you what they want. Give them what they want. However, when I read through this article, which, by the way, big fan of Bounding into Comics, you just can't win them all. I do see some slight issue with this, and that maybe this issue is a lot more nuanced. This isn't something similar to, Star Wars Outlaws or Assassin's Creed Shadows, or, the way they just blatantly disrespect the Japanese works when it comes to how they localize anime, manga, video games. So we're getting into this article. Before we do, hit that subscribe button. I'm a nerdy news channel. I cover nerdy news every day. And yeah, it's not so cut and dry as John DiMaggio just telling the fans to zip it. As Futurama returns for its 12th season on Hulu, the sci-fi animation faces mixed reviews and a renewed long-standing debate among fans. And Bender voice actor John DiMaggio is having, I think that's supposed to be none of it. Yeah, I have not seen season 12 yet. Season 11, the first, Futurama Hulu revival season was fine. It was, when it comes to revivals on Hulu, we've had some absolute trash like Animaniacs. Futurama, it wasn't quite as funny as it used to be. Like, it felt somewhat subdued and muted. But all in all, I was still very happy with it. At least it didn't go, like, hardcore political and very obviously choose one side of the political aisle. It was just, it seems like the quality is decreased a little, or maybe we're just wanting so much more since we've been inundated with so much crap lately. Now, as far as the actual quality of Season 12, I can't speak to it. I haven't seen it. So the criticisms of Season 12 might be valid depending on what the criticisms are. It's the way it's addressed in this article, and maybe the way fans are addressing it, if this article is to be believed, that I do have a bit of an issue with. Ever since it came back from its first official cancellation in 2008, the sci-fi comedy series has been criticized by some for being too current with its recent stories, such as its parodying of Apple iPhone and NFT crazes long after they were relevant to the real world. I mean, that's kind of the crux of this article, is they throw a fit about how modern Season 12 is, but even right here it says that was Futurama as far back as 2008. Guys, in 4 years, that'll be 20 years ago. I mean, like, I'm kind of confused. Futurama's sort of always done this. Now, it goes on to make an argument that Futurama wasn't always so current, and that's why the later seasons on Comedy Central were bad seasons, or at least weren't near as good as the originals, and there's an argument to be made there, but I also have a counter-argument for that. However, it appears DiMaggio disagrees, as he recently responded to said critics by calling on them to just zip it. Now, that's never how you want to talk to your audience. I'm not going to defend the way John DiMaggio handled the situation. Like, at the end of the day, when you have an audience, when you have individuals that are coming to you for content, especially in an era where we could get anything we ever wanted on the internet, they don't need to be watching you on Hulu. They can honestly watch 3.5-hour retrospectives on YouTube that get, 2.5 million views of the golden era of Futurama. If you're wanting the fans to come back and celebrate the revival, maybe treat them with some care. They're not just someone that you can talk trash to, say rude words to, and then expect them to come back and be happy about your new upcoming revival, whether the quality's there or not. It's definitely a tightrope act, because you do want to remain firm and say, hey, this is our art, this is our project, we want to do what we want to do, while also straddling that line of, but we need to give the fans what they want because the fans are the ones that made us. It's something that you've got flagrant disrespect for IP, for legacy, for the fans in general, with several of the things I mentioned earlier. Like, for example, later on today, we've got 2 other videos about Star Wars Outlaws and Assassin's Creed Shadows. Those are flagrant disregards for both IP and the fans. I don't think that's what Futurama is doing. And again, I haven't seen the 12th season, but the 11th season on Hulu absolutely didn't do that. It was very much still Futurama, just again, with some changes in quality that you could argue have been happening ever since the original revival in 2008. People are always like, it's not as good as the first couple seasons, DiMaggio told Newsweek during a recent interview. It's the same people working on it, same writers, same everything. People just think they know everything. Now, here's where I want to get into the nuance of the situation. Yeah, it is all the same people working on it. Absolutely. All the same people were working on X-Files when X-Files went to shit. All the same people, minus Eric Kripke, working on Supernatural when it went to shit. Just because it's all the same people working on it does not mean that the show is going to maintain its quality. Like, at some point on most television shows, you sort of hit a wall where that's where the phrase "jump the shark" comes from. When Fonzie decided to jump a shark, and ever since that moment, Happy Days took a notable downturn. At some point, shows, most of them, do in fact jump the shark. And frankly, you can argue where Futurama jumped the shark or whether it's jumped the shark at all. Because, look, I'm somebody that frankly loves all 10 of the original seasons of Futurama. I think that every single one of them is golden. You can say that there's a slight quality dip in the Comedy Central years, and in general I would agree, but or in some instances I would agree, I should say, but in general I think that it more or less retained the same quality, got a little bit raunchier because it was on Comedy Central instead of on the traditional daytime TV of the local channels during God's hours. Like, there's so much about Futurama that is very interesting to dissect, but the fact of the matter is, just because of the same people working on it, same writer, same everything, doesn't mean it maintains its quality, especially when comedy and, frankly, the zeitgeist itself changes over the last several years. I mean, Futurama went off the air, had its season finale in, 2013, 2014, give or take, so it's been 10 years. Public perception and response to media, especially in the growing age of content creation, has absolutely changed in those 10 years. And because of that, we've seen a rise in media that just does not give a damn about the fans. I do think Futurama still gives a damn, and this is just a very, very bad way to look at it because, again, you're not walking that tightrope as I mentioned earlier. That being said, the fans aren't blameless either, and that's why, while I do take the side of the fans 99.9% of the time, there is, in fact, no such thing as a 100% win rate. The fans are not right every time, and it's when talking about the past episodes and Futurama not always being topical, things to that effect. Yeah, that's not actually true. Joining him in defense of the show was David Herman, who voices numerous characters on the show, including Dr. Wernstrom and Scruffy the Xander. It's always been so topical, Herman opined. It's always been social parody. It's always been about the moment that we're in. That's science fiction in general. To this end, DiMaggio further declared, it continues to do that this season, so if people don't like it, take a walk. They can jump in the lake, he added. They can fly a kite. And again, maybe they're saying this, I would need to hear the context in which they're saying it. Maybe because they are comedians, they're voice actors, they're doing it, like with chuckles in their voices, and they're trying to be funny. Like, just like when people have tried to cancel comedians because they'll put a joke in writing and it sounds so much worse in writing. That could be what's happening here with Bounding into Comics is, yeah, these words sound harsh, but I would need to know the tone, the delivery. If they're actively attacking the fans, yep, that's a no-go. If they're saying it in jest and being jovial, I'm gonna be real, I couldn't care less. And while DiMaggio may be quick to write up the criticisms, they're far from the fringe opinions that he's dismissed them as. After all, it wasn't until well past season 6 the show went into a more topical direction, and one favoring a specific political party. Just look at the season 7 episode, Decision 3012, which basically just favorably parodied former President Barack Obama's original presidential campaign. This is an episode a lot of people point to, and yeah, it did that, but it did it in a still very apolitical, comedic fashion. I mean, yes, this Barack Obama stand-in, who's a white guy from the future, by the way, it's also very Terminator, he like riffs on Terminator a bunch, is, he's the Barack Obama stand-in, but he's going against Richard Nixon, who the show has set up since season 1 to be, like, the most evil bastard in, Futurama's, fixed history, they're different, diverging history, and future, I guess, and it is Futurama. Yeah, this is a kind of a bad example to use because, look, this is season 7. I can think of plenty of topical episodes from the first 5 seasons back when it was still on Fox. Season 1 had an anti-pollution episode. Season 4 had an anti-war episode. Season 3, I believe, had a different anti-pollution. No, that wasn't anti-pollution. That was a global warming episode. Like, there were so many message episodes of Futurama that were comedically done and didn't take sides. And I don't know about you guys, but I was around in the 90s and the early 2000s when the show was at its absolute apex. Those sorts of commercials, or public messages and sentiments about climate change and about being anti-war, especially, when the war in Iraq was going on, things to that effect. Again, pollution. God, the amount of after-school specials that were anti-pollution messages. Like when you go to Saturday morning cartoons, you turn on Fox Box or Fox Kids or whatever it was you were watching, and you would just be sitting there ready to watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Sonic X. And you would get these like 3-minute long commercials that were anti-pollution. It was It was mind-numbing. Like, homie, I just want to watch Raphael fuck up the shredder. I don't litter anyway. I'm 9. Like, so, yeah, Futurama was doing that sort of stuff well before, season 7 in, what would that have been, 2008, give or take? It just doesn't make sense to me to throw this criticism out there unless you're not familiar with, A, the original episodes of Futurama, or B, you're familiar with the original episodes, but you're not familiar with the time they came out because you rewatched them on Netflix or Hulu or whatever, and you don't remember that for the time they came out, they were topical. They were just topical to events as opposed to specific people. Now, if you don't like that kind of comedy, you want to criticize that comedy, by all means, go for it. I'm not saying that season 12 was without criticism. Again, I haven't seen it, and if the quality has taken a downturn, absolutely criticize it. But don't criticize it in bad faith or without having all the correct information. Sadly, this trend has continued in the new Season 12, which has been teased to feature satirical takes on everything NFTs, to Netflix's hit survival thriller Squid Game, to the Fyre Festival debacle. Some fans see these references to contemporary issues as straying too far from the show's original charm, in the process dating these recent episodes far harder than the predecessors. But others, particularly critics, see, what do you mean dating it far harder? Like, there's an episode, I believe Season 4, where Fry falls in love with a Lucy Liu robot. Guys, that's dated. Lucy Liu was definitely a lot more relevant in 2004 or 3 when that episode came out than here we are in 2024. Like, yes, there's going to be pop culture gags that are inherently dated. That does not ruin the overall charm of the show. Again, that's because we become so hounded with bad media. I feel like individuals are taking any and every opportunity they can to just throw fits and remove nuance. And don't get me wrong, I'm used to the other side removing the nuance and just blanket covering everything with insert generic statement here. But usually I would think that the types of videos we make, the community that we've fostered, are trying to build something up and say, hey, let's look at things with some nuance. Let's look at things on a case-by-case basis. And in this instance, I hate to say it, but I gotta side with John DiMaggio. And again, not about the attacking the fans aspect. By all means, I'm not defending that you do not attack your fans. I would need to hear the context, know if it's in jest and whatnot. But you do not attack the individuals that have made you what you are. But in terms of the opinions they hold about how this show has always been like this, yeah, they're correct. From season 1, Futurama has always been like this. Now, it had also a lot of tongue-in-cheek episodes that were not topical in any way. They had no messages, nothing to that effect. But I'm assuming season 12 will as well. Season 11, even the previous Futurama revival season, had several episodes that weren't topical to like, yeah, sure, we had the crypto episode. Yeah, that was topical. Crypto wasn't a thing in 2005. But then you also had episodes that were just like based on Dune, like the book series Dune that's been around since the 60s. You can argue they made it now because of the popularity of the movie, which is probably accurate. But Futurama's been making Dune references since literally the beginning of the series. You can go through Futurama, rewatch it. You will find a ton of Dune references. It's actually really awesome. The point that I'm trying to make is we gotta be intellectually honest on our side as well, and trying to just blanket say, oh, yep, this is a statement coming from Hollywood, this is an actor having an opinion, therefore automatically bad. No, not if you actually know the history, and I would like our side to be better than this so that we don't fall into the general trap that the other media illiterate side has fallen into, which is giving us things like Disney Star Wars, which is giving us things like the MCU, which is giving us things like whatever James Gunn is about to do that, frankly, I don't think anyone's excited for. Just please let Superman be good. But at the end of the day, yep, fans can't win them all. I think this is a lose-lose situation. John DiMaggio and Herman definitely shouldn't have used the words they used, but also fans criticizing the show for being too current clearly weren't watching it back in the day as it was coming out on Fox every week, and clearly just watched it on streaming years afterwards and aren't aware of the context of what was going on in America or wherever at that time. So yeah, this is sort of bunk. Maybe the new season of Futurama is going to be ass, but if it is ass, call it ass for the reason it's bad. It has the writing quality taking a dip, have the jokes taking a dip, and don't just be upset because it's topical when That's how these shows have always worked. But those are just my opinions. Let me know yours in the comments down below. Or let me know on X, where you can find me at Bolt the Word. And please do subscribe. I am a nerdy news channel. I cover nerdy news every day. Not always about modern day animation or TV shows, but anime, movies, music, Magic the Gathering, you name it. Check me out on Instagram at wordsofparadise_Leon and become a member for $4.99 a month. You can join the Discord, choose the articles I go over on a day-to-day basis, choose the videos I react to on my Friday night live streams, and of course, get involved with over 80 other vital idols. We are a bright, beautiful, glowing, vibrant community that I cannot wait to grow even further because we do care about diversity, but only one kind of diversity of thought. So if that's interesting to you, join the Discord, hit subscribe, and until next time, it is all here in the Nerdosphere. This has been Words of Paradise.